Holla, it's your boy George Billionaire. It's about that time, Monday, and we're on our way to hustle hard. Big shout out to you, and especially you who've made a special effort of going onto this channel, wherever you're watching this video from, subscribing, commenting, and making sure you watch all the episodes of Hustle Hard. So today's an amazing day, and we're going to be talking about such an amazing topic, because one thing I've seen in this thing called life is that it's true. They say it, I've said it. Success definitely does leave clues, and the more you hang around with people who are successful, the more it will rub onto you, and you also learn the things that they did that caused them to be successful. So today, there's no success without successors, and so many people these days are doing things the way they want to do it. But the greatest secret to making it up the mountain of success is to have a successor show you how they did it, so that you don't have to go up the mountain, so that they can cut through the mountain for you. And what could have taken you 5 years, 10 years, now will have to only take you a year or two. So let's tune in. Let's make sure we constantly are amazing hearers. But I know you, the Hustle Hard crew, the GB followers, you are action-oriented people. You're definitely going to be applying these things that you learn. So let's go and apply these amazing nuggets. Watch the video until the end. Straight after that, watch the next one, because we constantly need to be updating our mental software and becoming the best versions of ourselves. Let's go.
It's your boy George Billionaire, and you're listening to Cappy Talk 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat, with yours truly, Becky K.
So a lot happens in the business realm. I call it a realm because the last time we spoke to George, he opened up a mindset that we never really had about entrepreneurship being, something having to do with some spiritualists involved in it, if you're a spiritual person. So business is spiritual. The spiritualness around being an entrepreneur is something that you don't have to take for granted. Did you pray for your business today before you left your house? Wanamatira business rakwere, wanamatira ma clients akwere, wanamatira ma customers akwere, wanamatira vashandi vakwere, maricha pinda mu business wainamatira here. Because all of this is possible because you believed in yourself that I am going to be in business. We live in a time where businesses, since after COVID, my goodness, my business akavara, guys, and even like big companies that we thought were going to be in our lifetime, they closed down. So if you are listening in right now and you are still open for business, well done. Well done for not giving up. Well done for hanging in there. Well done for holding on. Well done for not slowing down. This one is for you. I'm clapping hands for you. Well done. Well done. The man in studio with us needs no introduction, but he's been in business for over a decade. So if there's anyone who's going to be in the best position to give us advice on how to hustle on. Yes, I know you're like, I don't like the word hustle, but hey, someone is pushing every single day. Umuntu ya pushu ya panda. That's a hustle. So George is going to talk us through how to leave a legacy in the businesses that we are in. I was going to a business for the sake of doing the business. No, you're not a rabbit. No direction. But you are focused. You've got targets, you've got goals, you've got visions. So he's going to come through and talk to us. George, holla, holla.
Holla, holla.
It's your boy.
It's your boy,
yeah.
George Billionaire, with none other, the one and only Becky K, internationally known on the MIC, representing, doing amazing big things. And it was good to see you, Becky, flying the flag high. And Becky, it's so good to see you excelling in what you do.
Thank you so much.
You growing. We see you. 5 years ago, Becky was not where she is today. But it's that consistency, it's that determination, and it's exactly what we talk about here on Hustle Hard.
True story.
What Becky is known for outside the radio station is something else. she's adding some hustles on top of her grind to be able to live the life that she's living today. Becky, this weekend was amazing. Big shout out to all the schools that have opened again.
Oh yeah.
And this is the most eventful term for parents. It's rugby season, hockey season, soccer season.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of grudge matches happening very soon. Parents will be traveling far and wide, going to support their children.
Absolutely.
And some of these grudges are not school-based. There are some parents who are really personal when it comes to this. But it's an amazing season where, we get to have good Saturday afternoons where, we're out there and, supporting our schools and supporting our kids, most importantly.
Yeah, let's quickly touch on supporting the kids. I know we are talking about succession, but this is where it starts, right? If you're not looking for a successor amongst your employees, you're definitely looking within the family.
Yeah. I think, before I get into that, Becky, this weekend was a bit touching for me, and I think it's something that I've seen him when you talk about succession with his kids as well. We lost an amazing guy, Sensei Mugo, who's being laid to rest as we speak, and he's a guy who totally, yesterday if you were at the funeral, the masses, it shows a man really lived out his purpose. An accident is an accident, things do happen. But it's also just a call out to people on the roads to keep, drive safely. Fortunately, we can't control certain things that happen. But with Sensei Mogo, close friend, amazing memories I made with him. And he made with so many people. I think you see that on social media by the numbers of the people who had various interactions with him, either in the gym, either in person. And his life, if you saw the number of people, we did body viewing for a good hour.
That's a life
which meant I've never seen the parlor full of people like it was yesterday, and that says a lot. So my sincere condolences to the Mohambi family, and our prayers are with them as they lay our amazing legend. He mentored me on my fitness journey, for me to get back in shape, for me to have a disciplined mindset. He took my kids for karate. He did a lot for many people. So it's a sad loss to the country, and it's a sad loss to so many people, but such is life, and our prayers go with them. But back to the show, Becky. A legacy is something that, as African businesses, we find a very great challenge in actually nurturing and bringing up. And I remember speaking about this with you some time back to say that we have not seen many African businesses live longer after the initial starter of the business goes down and is laid to rest. Very few businesses have lived longer than the second, third generation, especially having been started by Africans. And this comes from a simple thing where the people who start the business, we call it here in Zimbabwe, the Musiangwa type business, where the father or the mother knows everything. And when he is not well or sick, people are stuck because they don't know where the suppliers are. They don't know how to run the business. The children were never involved in the business at a young age. But when you see other cultures, our fellow lighter-skinned brothers from Asia, from Europe, from India, from China, they engage the children at a far younger age. And it is not a suggestive involvement of the business. It is compulsory for them to see what it is that the mother or father does that has caused them to be successful. Now, why our African businesses do not live on to the next generation is because we grew up without being the first line generation successful entrepreneurs. We want to make it very easy for our children by giving them the fish, but not teaching them how to fish. And this is what has caused these businesses, soon after the father dies, to be liquidated. And when I mean liquidated, I mean all the assets, the properties, the machinery that the father or mother had acquired. Because the children don't know that in business there's something called patience. There's a peak season, there's an off-peak season.
Right.
There's a time where we don't consume and we reinvest back. All they see is we want money now. And they are not willing to go through the process of, just like farming, you put in the seed into the ground. It's going to take 180 days before you harvest. And they don't have the patience because they were never exposed to the different stages of business, which has led many businesses to crumble soon after the owner goes off. So it starts by us. I have, my friends who I grew up with, every school holiday, they are, of the other race, and they would, on holidays, be at their farm. You would see pictures of them on a tractor driving, because that's what the father does. They're not trying to do something else, but they are going along with that already existing channel that was already created, which is bringing in income, because the parents have been in money for 3-4 generations before.
Right.
But with our African brothers, it's new money. And unfortunately, the kids enjoy consuming the money and not how it is actually made. And therefore, when they want something, Dad, I need money for fuel. Dad, I need this. They're not willing to work and understand what the parents do. And I think it's a challenge where the parents have given the children option of, no, it's okay, you can stay at home. But with the other cultures, you go to the farm, you go to the shop. You see the Indian community, they're behind the till, understanding, oh, we sell buttons. This is how we make our money. And they understand, oh, we sell groceries. Oh, we do this, we sell clothes. Please do stock take and find out how much is there. So the greatest challenge of our African counterparts is that of ignorance. We have reached a level of success, but we have not taught our children the process that has led us to actually arrive at a place called success. So our children will only mimic what they have seen over the years. They see dad, mom coming back with money. They don't know how it was made. They don't understand what dad, mom had to do in order to get that money.
Yeah.
And all they understand is when we want something, we ask. But what's going to happen, which I've seen with some of them are schoolmates, which I learned with many years back, whose parents were well off. They were dropped off in the most expensive cars. They had the latest sneakers, phones of that time. But once dad was released from work and reality sank in, they were used to asking and never to actually going to seek employment for themselves because they were spoiled. And that has led to some 40-year-olds still cohabitating with their parents, still relying on their parents' income to sustain themselves. And that is something that, if you look closely to how I started this, is a sum total result of parents over spoiling their children and not doing what the word of God in Proverbs says, train up a child in the way they should go so that they will not depart from it. So when a child sees, like I've given many examples of my father teaching me how to negotiate at Mbare Musika, I would escort him. I would know, oh, that is the
So
walk.
are you saying if we go with you to Mbare Musika right now,
Becky, there are some things with me, and a lot of people say, George, but you're a billionaire. Why do you negotiate so much? Let me tell you something.
It's an art. If you can negotiate,
it's an art. For me, wherever I go. Unfortunately, in the supermarkets, I cannot flex.
Yes,
but anywhere else, those who know me know this guy. He always wants an extra, and that's the difference from those who make it in life and those who don't. Others will be happy with it. But because of what I deliberately saw my father doing, he never told me to watch. He never told me, look, this is what I'm going to do. I watched. Then, wow, a pack of potatoes was $10. But he got it at $7 because he was told the price. He turned around and started walking away, shaking his head. Then the guy's like, Mudara, how much do you have? Then he said, I have 7. Then the guy's like, just this time. But that's $3 saved.
Yeah.
And that's a technique that you can never learn at home. There are some things you learn whilst you're there. So with the generational transfer of businesses.
Ooh, wait. And wow. Okay. The kids are watching. The kids are watching how you talk, how you interact, how you perceive things, how you negotiate or do not negotiate. The kids are watching. If you say to them it's expensive, in their head it will be expensive.
That's right.
If you say it's affordable, in their head it's affordable. If you say it's a bit costly now, but let me find out how I can afford it. They're actually watching you to see the pattern, and that's what they will follow.
Do you know, it's the children of today only do what they see. You can never tell a child what to do unless they see you doing it. I remember the first time I asked my sons to wash the car. They saw me the first time washing, second time. Then I was like, hi, can you help me to do this? And I showed them how it should be done. Then I said, listen, every other day, that guy is not going to wash the car. You're going to wash it.
Yeah.
And now if I say, please kindly wash my car, they know because I didn't tell them to do it, because I had to show them how it's done and how to now use this brush to clean the tires and etc.
Yeah.
So the lack of having a relationship with your children also affects the outcome of your children.
Right.
And especially with parents nowadays, we are so consumed with, I'm looking for money, I need to provide, and we're forgetting that as much as you're looking for it, you're also supposed to now train up a child, their mindset, their hustle, their drive, their passion to excellence. And that's what's going to cause your children to be able to love also what you do. Some of your children who are at school now and at university have never been to the place you call your own workplace because you never showed them that, listen, today you're going to be at work. My children come to work every holiday. They come to understand, oh, we work at Pro Air. What do you do at Pro Air? This is what they do. They do invoicing. They understand. They do stock take. They're the ones writing this. And there's some clients who are saying, how do you do this? But it's because you drop them off. I'm not at work most of the time. Then they get to interact with some of the customers and understand that this is what dad does all day long, and this is what we call business. So when you don't have that zeal in investing in time with your children and investing in, giving your children information about your business, and you wait until now they've finished at university and now you tell them, come and join Pro Air, they have no clue of where to start. They have no zeal of it. And this is what has caused many businesses not to excel. I was very humbled when I saw one of the owners of the biggest fast food outlets in the country. I saw their son, white in color, serving chips at one of the fast food outlets. This was some years back.
Okay.
And upon asking, I said, listen, I saw your son. Why is your son at the lowest level in the organization?
Come on.
And he said, listen, in order for my son now to become the FD and understand the finance of the organization, he has to understand what 1 ton of potatoes yields in terms of selling chips.
Yeah.
So he had to go to the lowest level to understand, so that when we then promote him, if there's any pilferage, if there are any losses in the organization, he understands it from the root level.
Yeah. And understands why also.
But then with us, other colored, it's an unfortunate thing. We are not training up our kids. We are thinking, no.
Are we even looking at our kids as the successors? Because I know we have dealt quite some time on the succession topic with light of children, like passing it on to family members. Are we really focusing on our family members to take over where we have left off or take over what we have started? Or should we be looking inside the organization? You at Pro Air, are you looking inside the organization? When I'm tired, maybe not even dead and gone, when I'm tired and I don't feel like I want to do this thing anymore, am I looking at my son coming through to take this, or my daughter running this? Or am I looking at Tafadzo, at Messi, am I looking within the company to say this is the person who's going to take over from here? Because clearly that says you're a success or not in terms of leadership, business, and all of that.
So, it's amazing that you asked that question, and you'll find most companies which have lived 100 plus years on, it has moved smoothly down the different generations. Some family, some cousins, some nephews of the initial person who started it. Because it's not every child who may want to join the organization. Yep. But for me, it's how it's passed on to the kids to understand that, listen, this is ours. And with majority of businesses now, that's dad's business. Dad runs it in his own way. He's never given us a chance to give input. There are some kids who are very good at social media marketing, and they can actually help uplift the business, grow in that regard. There are some others who are good in HR. So, it's how you present it to your children and see the strengths, because every child has a different strength that they have. And there are some kids, of course, who don't want to be the shadows of their fathers or mothers. But for me, if my father had started off a business which is successful, internationally known, I definitely, even though I have my own dreams and ambitions, will feed into that, because that's going to that's already an existing stream of income. I can have things that I personally want to do, but I lose nothing by giving my input into that business and helping that business now grow in a modern way, because our parents were there when it was newspaper, advertising, and different. But now some of the key businesses, and I know a close friend of mine whose parents have a well-established organization, and I always ask myself, why didn't he and the sister actually just get into the existing business, which was giving them 4 or 5 figures every month? But they chose, no, I want to do this. And what they are doing is not excelling, it's not growing. But then they don't want to be the shadows. But it's unfortunate, because I guess that's the upbringing style, and that's maybe the parents decided to give this vision to them at a later stage, rather than they should have engaged them at a younger stage, help them to do the procurement. What products do you think we should get? Take them on trips. Listen, this is where we get our air cons. These are the suppliers, this, that. Create that relationship. Next time, even send young George to go and order. It's already pre-done. But it's empowering to say, you know what, this is actually a good thing. So that's where we lack the wisdom, and we want to be hard enforcers. If you don't do this, you need to go to work. That way of parenting with this generation is not going to get any business lasting long. And there are many of even some of my personal mentors who say, you know what, George, I wish I had a son with a mindset like yours. But I always say, you know what, I think it's a lack of involvement with your son or daughter at an earlier stage, where you could have created a relationship, where you tag him along to meetings like you do with me, so that I now understand that this is what, and this is how things are run. So that lack of involvement as parents and understanding the relationship with your kids as you grow up is affecting the business going on to the next generation, because these kids are not involved at an early stage. And some of them may not be remunerated or appreciated or, encouraged to join the business. And that has caused many businesses not to live long after the owner's gone.
All right. There's an audio that has been sent through. So you can send through your contributions, your questions, or your comments to 0719 100 404. Address it to Uncle Billy. So when you start to say, hi, Uncle Billy, and then you say what you want to say. Mama Madison Jr., thank you so much for joining in. My Matipa, Anzi, Uncle Billy is saying the truth. Anzi Chokwa Dimdara. This one says, I'm like George's dad. I just don't buy without trying to bargain a price. So listen, I will do the price comparison of all the suppliers before I actually settle down and say this is what I want to buy. So let's hear what this listener has to say.
Guys, you know what? One of the problems that we have as black parents is that most of us
takakurira munhamo tambudzika, and then after that eventually we make it, and then when we make it after a huge struggle, we overprotect our children. So at the end of the day, we protect them and then we go out and hustle and work for our children while they are sitting at home, watch enjoy my smart TV, my smartphones, on the net, while they are busy toiling for them. But at the end of the day, they don't know how to work for themselves. If it happens that somewhere, somehow, we die, those children will suffer. And the blame should be put on us because we did not give those children a life. The life, is still real because reality is that we work for anything. Nothing comes on our laps while we are not doing anything. Thank you. Mdara Mjubek producer.
Mdara Jubek, I'm not going.
Yeah. So, Becky, I think that's a very real analysis. And what happens with that generation that you provide, you spoil, you make sure they have everything, they lack no good thing because you're trying to show your lack of having those things on your children. The moment you go, your children are going to be in a far, and when I mean far, worse off situation than what you brought them into this world knowing, because they are going to be dependent and waiting for dad or mom to come. They cannot even go. If dad is not there, they can't hike to get into town. They can't make a plan to get from point A to B because dad needs to send a driver. Dad needs to make sure that I have the latest, this, that, and the other. And it's unfortunate. And that's the life that unfortunately has crippled many. There are many parents today who believe in getting their kids the latest phones, latest this, they need to drive at school in the latest cars. But these kids don't understand how to actually work hard for those. And like he rightfully said, because we grew up in poverty, you are now giving them a lot of...
overcompensating.
And then what's going to happen when you're not there? They are now going to be forced to maintain a lifestyle that you presented to them. And it's going to be a disaster because you did not teach them how you managed to accumulate the wealth. And then they are now going to be in a very dangerous position where, there are cases of, extreme things I've heard of kids now, taking their lives because of pressure. Because father went, now they don't know how they're going to make it. Because they can't understand, and it's extreme. But we'll only see this in the third generation. First generation is you who grew up in poverty, you've made money, and now you're getting your kids this, and then the kids after your kids are not going to have anything at all because they never learned the hustle of actually how to accumulate the wealth.
We've got questions coming through. Hopefully our time will allow us. We've got 5 minutes left. Anzi George, please also address parents who don't even want to include their kids. But vanavacho tichitoda kubatsira in the business. Address the parents as well. It's not always the children that don't want to be part of it. This one says, Uncle Billy is 100% right, but unfortunately his advice is coming when I'm now old and tired. I wish I had that advice when I was young and energetic. This one says, Hi GB, investment in time with children is quite important, especially at a tender age, because it allows them to understand the hustling activities we go through. This one is from Colonel Mwalamba. This one says, this is phenomenal, Uncle Billy. Thank you for the advice that you were giving. This one says, George, nyaya ya urukutaura ma one, because as black people we think about witchcraft before we think about succession. We don't want anyone to know how we get things and how we are doing it, so I will die with my business, which is actually quite sad.
Yeah, it's bad. And this is why we're on Hustle Hard, and some may be old enough now and they can't do much with it, but still there are people who are young enough or got young kids who can actually begin to transform those young people's minds and actually get them involved. To parents who don't want to involve their kids, it's unfortunate because illness, disaster, accidents, anything can happen. and the well-established business you've started for 20 years and is running successful, there's nobody more reliable than your own blood in something that you've done. Nobody. But because they lack the knowledge, the wisdom, they lack the whereabouts of how you actually transact, that business will go and somebody else will start pilfering goods, and you will not know until the stock levels are absolutely zero. And it's too late because you've been hospitalized for such a long time. Or something happened. So it's unfortunate when I love all billionaires and successful people. Always you'll find the son, the daughter, they are well vested in that. And that's a branch we should take from the Western worlds and the first world countries, that in order for something to be successful, involve your children at a young age. Get them to come to the office. Spend some time with them. Drive around. And we've become so busy pursuing money that we are failing to have a relationship with our kids and actually get them to understand how it is we make it. So it stems down to parenting. Because if you don't have a relationship with your kids as a dad or a mom, what more trying to get them to come into your already existing business? You have to have that relationship first and say, listen, today we're going to spend the day at the office. You'll just sit in at every meeting I'm having. And you'll be so surprised how much they will go back and have learned by the way you conduct yourself in front of your employees, the meetings you went into, how you negotiate, how you talk. They will learn so much. And it's amazing how our kids these days, remember we've said this, monkey see, monkey do. So when you see a kid speaking the way you speak,
don't blame them.
What more the way you are pursuing and grinding. You see, that hustle comes from dad or mom. That confidence, that competitiveness, it comes from, they first see it, hey, our dad is not a sporty guy, so I'm not going to be sporty. Because they never see dad waking up in the morning, running, keeping a fit body and doing this. They never see dad out in the grind, shouting at people, why didn't you deliver on time? Why didn't you do that? They don't
need to see you at work.
If they see that, they'll understand, Dad, why were you upset? No, these guys were supposed to have finished at this time and they didn't. So they have to stay true to their word. They didn't accomplish this, so we need to do that. So that comes with parental involvement, and that comes with having a relationship with your son or daughter in order for you to leave down a legacy for that business that you're doing.
George Billionaire in the building, Uncle Billy dishing it out as it's supposed to be dished out. You brought a really important topic and a really important subject. I hope our listeners learn from this. If you want true success, leave a successor. And this is so manje corporate titi pama one, yeah. What are you leaving your children? What are you leaving your children? It's 1:00 on Capi Talk. Stand by for the news. To find out more about George Billionaire, you can follow him on all social media platforms. George Billionaire. You will not get lost. Stand by for the news.
Follow us on